Hi everyone, I'm Erin Massey. Thank you for watching my fifth assignment of amino acid metabolism under Dr. Kim's direction. Today we'll be doing another seminar, our publication review, but interesting enough, this publication is an overview of an amino acid, not a direct single experiment with a control. Instead a review of the information which is available. And because our last lecture was on arginine, this particular paper looked at an amino acid with a direct relationship to arginine. The article I chose is Proline and Hydroxyproline Metabolism and Implications for Animal and Human Nutrition. And of course, as a registered dietitian, I chose the article which would look at the benefits to human nutrition. If you want to see the citation for that, and of course the article is shared in our Moodle site. So, proline and hydroxyproline. So what is the significance of that and what is the background? So I talked about how arginine is our amino acid of study currently, which is a conditionally essential amino acid. If you're looking at the basic chain of events, arginine turns into ornithine, which then turns into proline, another amino acid, another one of the 20 amino acids. Hydroxyproline is then a metabolite of proline. Interesting enough, proline on a per gram basis, and this comes directly from the article, on a per gram basis, the requirement of proline for whole body protein synthesis is the highest among all of the amino acids. So by weight, proline makes up our body tissues more than any amino acid, specifically because it is found in collagen tissues, 30% of the body's protein. So it's pretty significant by weight. However, according to the nutrient requirements of swine and the National Research Council, it's not really necessary. It's not necessary in pigs for gestating pigs, neonatal pigs, or just general growth or finishing them. Nor are there any guidance provided for proline needs, not even adequate intake for how much proline you need, human beings. And in humans specifically, further talking about that, it's not considered essential, nor is it conditionally essential unless there's burns or injury. And I'll talk about that more at the end with my final assessment and delve more into that statement towards the end. So in getting into the meat of the paper, I would say, does new research suggest proline could be more essential than suggested by these governing bodies? So it was found high in pig's milk specifically, because there's a lack of enzymes to break down, to further hydrolyze proline in this milk, so that proline stays in, the proline content remains high because proline oxidase is not present in the mammary glands, which produces the milk. Why would they need, is proline necessary in pigs? So further, why is it high in pig's milk? In baby pigs and neonatal baby pigs, proline and hydroxyproline makes up 12% of the proteins in their body. 12%, it's pretty significant. And those proline needs increase. They increase almost threefold from day 40 of life to day 114. So in a very short amount of time, I'd say less than 4 months, those proline, that specific protein needs are going to increase threefold. That's huge. Furthermore, looking at their needs, not only is it found in the milk, and the milk of the mother is specifically missing enzymes to break down proline further because they need it, the baby pigs also adapt, or also different in their body, in that their small intestine is going to break down 40% of arginine. So it's going to be breaking down arginine, and that byproduct we know of arginine is going to be proline. So their small intestines are going to further break down the arginine. And this may be necessary in those young mammals, because we know that their livers aren't yet developed enough to be able to make enough proline from arginine. So normally this would be synthesized in adult bodies in the liver, but I know from a human standpoint, the livers of babies aren't developed enough to be able to break down proteins. That's part of the reason you see a lot of babies look a little yellow when they come out with high bilirubin buildup. Those livers are underdeveloped. Similar in pigs in that they can't create enough proline from the arginine in the liver either. So the small intestine helps to break that down, as well as they're getting a high amount from the milk to support their growing need. So what does it do? Why do they need proline in their body? One of the big things are polyamines, which we talked about with another amino acid in a prior class. Polyamines are going to help produce DNA function, help RNA, cell differentiation, cellular migration, and cellular proliferation, helping the cells to divide, helping the cells to gain their specific qualities, DNA, RNA. Very important jobs. Furthermore, it's pertinent for wound healing in pigs and people. Remember, it's part of collagen. So skin tissue, it's going to make skin tissue. It's also important in the realm of wound healing to maintain the correct nitrogen balance. Wound healing requires a high level of nitrogen and be able to form those tissues and has cellular function where the wound is. We also know from this paper there's a role in intestinal growth of health of neonates in general, because, like I just said, they're unable to synthesize proline in their livers because it's still developing at that point, and that's just not something they're able to do. So we're gonna look at protein as a supplement, but specifically, I found out in this paper, proline is the highest in meat bone meal, poultry byproduct, and salmon of all things. So it's really high in salmon, which is something we may be eating. Not sure we eat poultry byproduct or meat bone meal, but I may be wrong. I may be needing to do some more label reading on that. And it's going to be 3 times higher in those animal products, 3 to 6 times higher in those animal products than plant proteins. Which makes me think a bit, are vegetarians going to have as much wound healing capacity, or are they going to heal as fast with vegetarian-based proteins compared to someone who's eating a lot of salmon or possibly bone meal for wounds? I found that interesting. So proline digestion. Proline, amino acid, is going to be digested similar to the other amino acids with some caveats. So the paper highlights, it gets to the stomach. It's broken down by pepsin, of course, in that high acidic environment. It's where the protein is slightly denatured, and it's going to be broken down further in the small intestine by your 5 enzymes, your trypsin, your chymotrypsin, your elastase, procarboxy, peptidase A and B. Eventually, you get dipeptides and tripeptides of proline together. Well, then what? We know we always kind of get to this stage, and then we talk about fermentation. This paper takes it a bit farther and talks about proline being hydrolyzed, which has a specific enzyme called prolidase. So stomach, small intestine, usually where we stop. But small intestine is where proline specifically is hydrolyzed by prolidase, and then it's transported directly to the enterocytes, so directly into that cell after it's been hydrolyzed. Doesn't need ATP. It goes by passive diffusion through a gradient system, according to the paper. But only 60%, 60% is pretty high, but 60% of that is retained in portal circulation, so the blood can get right to the heart. So stomach, small intestine, dipeptides, tripeptides directly into the cell by a gradient, and 60% is then retained. So you're losing not about almost half of your proline that you've just broken down. Will go in directly into the portal bloodstream. So, further evidence of proline with supplementation. Okay, so is it, I posed the question earlier, is it essential? I'm saying, you know, these governing bodies, Research Council is saying it's not, there's not even recommendations for it. But we found that it's needed for young pigs. What is the research saying as far as what has been done to test proline use? Here's how, when it's supplemented in diets, what the paper highlights. It was found to increase the weight of chickens with supplementation to a chemical purified diet. So there's weight gain in chickens with the specific supplementation that they used. So purified proline, not food sources. It was found to increase the weight of young pigs with supplementation in a proline-free diet, in which proline was then added to that proline-free diet. And this also decreased their waste, their urea output. Again, that's with purified proline supplemented into the diet, not food sources, which from a dietetic standpoint, I'm all about. And then the third research that's highlighted is that it was found to increase the villi size, the nutrient absorption capacity. So your villi line your intestine, they're kind of like fingers, and on those fingers, there's microvilli. The fingers have fingers to absorb your nutrients. The villi size in the small intestines of baby piglets was found to actually grow. That means their capacity for absorption grew when they were eating corn and soybean meal that was supplemented with proline. That is that out of all the studies, I think that is huge to me, considering when you look at pigs. And I found it from this course and from the teacher and my classmates that pigs are the most gastrointestinally identical to people. And so we actually use baby piglets as a model in human baby research or guidelines. So to say that their intestines were able to possibly absorb more nutrients with supplementation of a protein is huge, is really big. And I mean, we're not going to feed babies corn and soybean meal. that part of it, but what to maybe look at, milk with extra proline, if that increases the intestinal villi size and you can get human beings or neonatal babies to grow, that would be something. So that's huge. But the point is, these gains were found with proline supplementation, whereas they're saying, well, there's not really a guideline, nor is it essential. So final thoughts here, okay? Should proline be considered conditionally essential? It's maybe not in adults or adult pigs, but if babies can't make enough, should it be conditionally essential for those specific groups? Would arginine produce the same effect of weight gain in neonates, in baby humans, like baby piglets, like I mentioned? How are we able to test that ethically? How does, and I wonder, since the beginning of class, how do that testing in baby piglets transfer directly to humans? And when is it appropriate to try those recommendations? How does it get from pigs to the NICU? How do we test that? Because there's currently no studies looking at dietary impact of proline in offspring. There's nothing. How do you get there? And how do we get proline as a supplement in NICU babies? Furthermore, the study mentions multiple times, this review does, that proline is used for wounds in pigs and animals and humans, which is fascinating to me because this is one of the things as a dietitian you get tested on regularly, like wound care. What improves wounds? Protein overall. Zinc is one of the big ones we talk about. Arginine, glutamine, vitamin C, because collagen. So then again, arginine and glutamine paired together. And there's even a specific supplement called Juven that comes in packets in the hospital. It's fruit punch or orange. Not delicious, bad texture. You mix it with all kinds of things. But it has HMB, arginine, glutamine, and probably a lot of vitamin C, which is where that strong sour flavor comes from. That's why they have those flavorings. But it's arginine, right? Which is the precursor to proline. Proline, the product. So that's another step that the body has to do. If proline is really the desired protein in wound healing, why not start with proline and not arginine is my question there. Why not just put proline in the packet? They're already so expensive anyways, which a couple more cents on the packet in my opinion, but there's definitely supplementation in human studies that could be warranted in those wound care patients with a review board. Those are my final thoughts. If any weigh-in that you guys have, I know at this point you're not required to, but especially about how do studies go from piglets to babies is my most fascinating takeaway from this entire class. And if anybody can weigh in on that, it would be extremely valuable to me and my continued studies. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was 20 minutes of talking.